Obvious question. What is your relationship now with WWE? And are you more committed to your gyms and MMA and being a true independent contractor, or does returning to WWE appeal to you, and is that door open?
Those are a bunch of I don't knows, but am I open to it? Of course I'd be open to it, man. I mean, regardless of where I went and what I did, it's where I came from that gave me those abilities to do all that stuff, and I got all that when I was wrestling with WWE. I mean, those things opened a lot of doors for me outside of WWE. So, I respect everybody there, and it's just one of those things where you're not gonna turn down an offer if it's great like that. But you never know. Right now, as I said before, I'm putting a lot of time in with my gym. I mean, that's my first priority right now. I got a lot of stuff going on there, and like I said before, I'm still open to fight. So anywhere I go, I try not to burn any bridges. So that if an opportunity arises, I'd like to go back there. I mean, Strikeforce also. I think they're going to do a couple more fights there. I had my first big break with them in the MMA scene, so I mean that's a possibility also that I'm completely open to.
How do you think a fight between you and Brock Lesnar would go? And you're both in different worlds right now in a lot of ways. But an MMA fight, not under WWE, not a worked wrestling match. But do you think that there would be appeal in that? Do you think that's a fight that Brock would take if I guess it would probably take you having one or two higher profile wins. But under some circumstances, is that a fight that you'd like to see? And have you thought about how you would fight him if that were to somehow come about?
I've been asked that a million times. I'm cool with it. Just out of respect for Brock, of course, if that fight was offered to me, I would take it. I mean, I don't know where he's at with it. If he's fighting anymore or what he's doing. I don't know Brock like that. Yeah. But of course, if that was the fight that was offered to me, of course I would take it. And whether he would take it or not, maybe not. He may say, hey, I was the UFC champion. You haven't even got in there yet. You need to get a couple more fights to prove worthy. If that's the case, then that's what we do. I mean, you got to at the end of the day, like we were talking about before, it is entertainment, and I think that would be a big fight for either some fans or wrestling fans or MMA fans or what have you. But yeah, that'd be a cool fight.
What was your first thought when you heard Dave Batista was leaving WWE with the intent to train for possible pro MMA fights? Did being around Dave and knowing him and also getting into MMA, even you got into MMA later than average. There's kids now who grew up training in MMA, not amateur wrestling, not boxing, not taekwondo, training in MMA at gyms. And you were an amateur wrestler who, relatively speaking, kind of like Brock, got into it late. Dave Batista's getting into it way later than even you and Brock did. What was your first thought when you heard that? Did you kind of shake your head and said, Dave, Dave's cool, but it's not going to work out? Or did you think, knowing him, maybe that was a path where he'd surprise some people?
To be honest, I thought it was just hype at the beginning. I thought it was purely hype. I thought, Dave was just kind of saying that, just coming out because it's a hot thing out right now, which, I think a lot of people have talked about fighting. But then afterwards, I mean, he actually went out to a legitimate camp out there, and I think it was in San Francisco with the Diaz's and the Gracie camp. And yep. I heard that he was really training. He was training hard, I think, and then he popped up at a couple different camps. And I think he was training, so I don't know whether he was going to say, okay, I'm on a quest to go for the UFC title or anything like that, but I thought that he was going to maybe take a few fights. Yeah. Yeah,
and would you have any way of knowing, being in the wrestling atmosphere, how he would do in MMA? Or, I mean, you would have to be in a gym with him to have any clue. I mean, he's a big guy, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I heard from a couple gyms, I heard that they said that he hits hard.
Yeah.
And that's all I've really heard at all about him. So I have no idea. I don't know what he has. I know that he has some kind of background, some kind of martial arts background. I don't know if it's very extensive. I think it's something maybe he just played around with for the last few years and maybe took a little more seriously afterwards. I have no idea.